Welcome back to Blow Up the Team. I'm Matt. Once again, we are doing preseason grades. Uh, this time we're doing the Oakland Athletics. And just to start off, some even bigger news today. It's official. We're getting baseball. Uh, Teams are reporting July 1st to finish spring training, and then starting July 23rd to 24th, there will be 60 games, a 60-game season. I don't think expanded playoffs are happening, and they're going to actually play baseball. And so it's exciting knowing that this series won't be a complete waste of time. Um, anyway, going right into it. The Oakland A's, back to back. The Oakland A's continue to be the Oakland A's, and the fact that you put together a bunch of players who aren't the shiniest, who aren't the biggest names, and turn them into big names by amplifying what they do well. They get on base, they hit home runs, and they they are very aggressive with their bullpen. The Oakland A's of 2018, started off pretty horribly and then had an amazing run and got to the wild card game where the Yankees pretty handily knocked them out. But overall had a really good 2018. 2019, they had a good season with less pieces, but overall still an excellent season and easily won themselves the top wild card spot. They were in a little bit of a race with Tampa, but anyway, Tampa came into Oakland and knocked them out again. So back to back, really disappointing wild card appearances for the A's. They have a current really bad streak going of losing elimination games. Um, yeah, but the game was it was like I gave up 3 home runs on the same exact pitch in the same location to to one player twice and another player one other time. It was bad, but overall the team is a very solid team, and top to bottom, pretty decently put together and easily in the playoff mix. They're not. I don't think they're win the AL West, barring a Houston Astros collapse this season. The Astros at the end of the day have bigger bankroll than the Athletics, and I understand you don't want to you're want to prove your Moneyball thing is right, but their team. If this team can inject just a little bit of extra talent in there, in like a pitching aspect, this team would easily be a huge contender for the Astros, and I think they will be a contender for the AL West. But depending on how, because it is a shorter form season this season, so if they get off to a hot start or the Astros get off to a cold start, maybe they can swoop in and steal the West. But let's get right into it with the lineup. Marcus Semien, he's been a pretty decent player for the past few years. Everyone's known that he's been pretty good. But last year was his breakout. Last year, he put up career highs in basically every offensive category he's ever had, or that he has. Obviously, um, there's only so many offensive categories, but and he also played in all 162 games, and he hit more home runs, more RBIs, just was all over the place, fielding better, which is a huge thing. Normally, guys with bad fielding don't improve that much on their fielding. He had an immense improvement on his fielding. And so he's really becoming a standout player. And, if he can play to that level again, that could be a huge portion of your team right there. He is excellent to watch, and he's a lot of fun to watch, and good overall leadoff hitter. He's also his batting eye improved a lot. He also walked a lot more, so that I think helps him profile out as a leadoff hitter much better, especially. And I think that's the A's specialty is getting on base. But going next, Ramon Laureano. I think last year, I mean, this guy, I think is on the last year was his real Hello World season. He got his first taste of action in 2018, but in 2019 he really showed his stuff. He hit really well, hitting 288 with 24 home runs. Only played 123 games due to injury, and definitely strikes out way more than he walks, like 5 strikeouts to every walk. But the other thing this guy can do is field insanely. He has a ridiculous cannon of an arm. He robbed a home run and then threw a ball sailing over the head of their first baseman, almost out of play. And then they to make one of the ridiculous throws I've ever seen. And he in two back-to-back games with the Red Sox at the beginning of the season, he robbed he cut down a guy running from third to home on a sac fly, which should have been a sac fly from almost every center fielder, and then cut down I think it was Xander Bogaerts running the third from second, and it was just the Red Sox just looked out, were just like, "What the fuck?" Was I think what I read off of I think it was Mookie Betts who was like, just on camera like, "What the fuck?" Man is a highlight reel defensively, and he's got a really good bat to back it up. I think this guy, he had a breakout last year. I think he stays healthy and has an even bigger showing this year. I think this guy is your youngest and newest star on a team which has some pretty great players, and this guy I think will really be has a chance to really bust out. Behind him, you got your arguably biggest current star on the team, Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman is a true modern baseball player, just like good at getting on base, ridiculous defense, and hits for power. So he's not going to hit for average, but he will hit for power. And he'll get on base a lot, and his defense is absolutely insane. Easily, probably the best defensive third baseman. It's between him and Arenado recently. Really, between the two best defensive third basemen in the league. Um, Really good, solid player. Though his average will be like 250, which I think is about accurate for him. His OPS and his slugging will be really high, and his on base will be in the 350s. And that glove will come in clutch for you guys so many times. He can turn so many plays that uh, most third basemen just aren't able, or just most fielders aren't able to. Behind him, you have Matt Olson, young power hitter, really good power hitter. He hit 267 with 36 home runs last year. His big boo boo is that in fact he can't hit at home, and I don't blame him. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think most players can't hit in the Oakland Coliseum because it's a pit. It's a really horrible place to play, according to people who play there. And but he hits like crazy on the road, and so it's not like it's all bad for him. He balances it out with an insane road offense. It's actually he's got a really kind of funky batting stance. And I was watching it one time, and I was like, this just feels like he's about to hit a home run. Just can even regard he just smacks ridiculously long home runs. He's got massive power, and he's young. I'm not sure and he'll be on this team for the minimum the rest of his rookie contract. I'm not sure for his stats he would want to stay here, but you got a lot of guys who are young and talented, and you want to extend. You got Mark Canha. Mark Canha had a pretty decent year last year. 273, 26 home runs. You're seeing a consistent theme here. A lot of these guys are going to have very similar stats because they all profile out very similarly because Oakland likes to, you know, play its money ball. Very good player. Not the craziest average hitter, but once again, you know, his strikeout doesn't strike out too much more than he walks, and he hits for decent power. He'll be out there the outfield. I'm not sure where exactly because the only one I can tell you for sure is Loriano will be in center field because he is the best defender they have. You got Chris Davis as your DH. Uh, the man, once again, huge power hitter, had a really rough time last year. After hitting 40 home runs and batting 247 exactly for 3 years in a row, really took a step back in 2019 after signing a contract extension, only hitting 23 home runs and hitting 220 in 133 games. Not what you want to see out of a guy who just gave an extension to, and Oakland is stingy about extending people.
Maybe the
And
name Chris Davis getting extensions is just bad juju.
maybe, but listen, he'll only ever hit the 240s, but he'll be, he's the crush that everyone wants to have on the team. And I think even hitting 220 and 230 would be a blessing for Chris Davis. He'd be happy hitting that. The other Chris Davis. And so, uh, but overall, you want to see him perform to any ability better than that. Or, even if he's hitting in the low 200s, he could, getting more home runs because the guy is not going to hit past 250. If he does, it'll be a huge. It'll have to be some mechanical part of his swing. He swings for the fences, and So, sorry, I just heard a really horrible joke in my Discord. The, if he didn't make our thumbnails, I'd debate banning him.
What did he say?
Nah, the Oakland Bees. In response to you.
Well, he makes our thumbnail, so
Can't
we
do
just gotta
anything
say
about it.
thank you, Jason.
He's
Please keep up the
abusing
good
his
work.
power. Your last three guys are going to be platoon guys. The reason being is Steven Piscotty was injured. Was going to be injured at the time of opening day originally. However, he should be fine. So I'm not sure about these last couple predictions. So Ravi Grossman, I imagine, will be on the bench come the start of the season, barring Piscotty not being healthy or performing poorly in spring training. Both guys have a very similar skill set of, as compared to the rest of the team. Not pretty average, gets on base, hits home runs. Behind the plate, you projected Sean Murphy, but you also have Austin Allen, both pretty good catchers. They'll hit like catchers do. I'm not going to spend too much time on the catching because catchers in this league, there's they are all obviously good, but some of them just for the most part they all hit about the same. They all hit the 250s. Some of them for a little bit more power than others. The big thing is their behind the plate presence, and the A's have pretty decent presence behind the plate because Sean Murphy does have a good arm. And then your projected starting second baseman, which I don't agree with, is Anthony Kemp. I think you're probably going to see, Franklin Barreto. Like despite being on the bench, he's projected to have more playing time. Barreto is extremely young, only 24. Anthony Kemp is also young, but I don't know. Second base is by far the biggest weakness on this team. Neither one of them have shown much of their time up in the league. So definitely expect to see a lot of changes at second base or a trade for a second baseman, or maybe moving someone around who normally doesn't play second base, because that is their biggest area of need, I'd say. So overall, a very good lineup. They very much like their hitters for the most part project out about the same. Decent at getting on base, decent power. They can all rely on to doing relatively similar things. Um, let's see. And moving on to the starting rotation. I'm sorry, Mike Fiers is not the ace of this rotation. That's Sean Manaea. This thing's just high. Sean Manaea had a really good breakout in 2018 to be broken up by rotator cuff tendonitis and then Tommy John surgery. He only got to pitch in 5 games in 2019 and then pitch in the postseason, which didn't go so well. But his time in 2019 was very good. And, you have to remember that 108 win Red Sox team that dominated the postseason, he managed to no hit in 2018. So he's got the chops for pitching, and he's not like a lot of guys you see who you'll call your ace. He doesn't throw hard, and he doesn't get a whole lot of strikeouts, but he just knows how to move the ball around, and he knows where to, he knows how to locate, and that's his most important weapon is his location. So expect also for his velocity to go back up because he didn't have a whole lot of time to stretch out and throw after coming back from injury. So highly expect him to perform better than he did. Mike Fiers, the guy who came out and flattened the Astros, exposed them for their cheating. Also, purveyor of really horrible facial hair. Yeah, Jerry, if you just want to look up Mike Fiers real fast. Yep. Yeah.
It's
And
certainly something else.
for that, he shouldn't be in the majors anymore. That's case closed. Send him down. Yeah, really horrible facial hair. But overall, a solid pitcher. He's been up. He's had big ups and downs, and it's funny. He's throwing 2 no-hitters, but like it just shows because he's had such wild highs and lows, like 2013, the 7.25 ERA, or 2017 with a 5.2 ERA. Like he's had some really interesting movements. But then he's also had seasons where he's had, pretty decent ERA as well and decent numbers. Um, like Sean Manaea, he doesn't throw hard, but he, relies on location. And for a guy pitching on the A's, that works out pretty well when you're playing half your games at Oakland Coliseum. Overall, decent pitcher, solid guy, solid veteran. Expect decent things out of him. Um, Going up next, Frankie Montas. Frankie Montas is looking like he was going to be your breakout star. Like really, really nuts performance through 16 games in 2019. Actually, my roommate traded him before the news came out. In 2019, in 16 games, he had 2.63 ERA, 103 strikeouts, and 96 innings, looking really good. And then he got busted for roids and suspended for 80 games without pay. Yeah. Now, the thing is, like, I would expect like a huge jump in fastball velocity, or at least a decent one. And there was a 1 mile per hour jump, but that's not as high as he's been known to throw. And in 2017, he threw at 97.7. 2018, he put through 98.5.8. It's just weird. I don't want to make too many statements about like how he's going to perform because I don't know how much of that was really the steroids when he's already thrown hard in his career. But I'd expect obviously not those insane stats, but I don't really know what to make of him. He will throw hard regardless of that, and I imagine he'll be pretty decent overall. Um, Going up next, you got Jesus Luzardo. He's got literally no information on him. He pitched pretty well in the short action 12 innings he got in 2019. He's only 22, and he's got a lot of things to show. Obviously, if they're putting him in the rotation so young and so quick. Uh, I would expect him. And that's another guy like I can't make a whole lot of predictions about. I imagine he'll be pretty decent, but once again, young, not a lot of experience. He'll probably make quite a few mistakes and have a couple bad starts, but for a guy this young, it's all about the learning curve of getting into the MLB. He's a lot, so expect this to be a growing season for him, and definitely a bullpen option down the line if for the postseason. Last up, you got Chris Bassett. Had a pretty decent year last year. He's actually had a pretty decent last couple of years. Big question for him is health, and if he can stay healthy, another solid guy, decent fifth rotation piece. Nothing crazy, and that's kind of how the starters pan out. They're all solid starters. None of them are like every 5 days you're getting uh Jacob DeGrom on the mound or Garrett Cole or Noah Syndergaard or like Chris Sale. So, but overall, decent rotation and followed up by a decent bullpen as well. Bullpen is definitely actually weaker than it has been. 2018, I think, was their best bullpen because they had Fernando Rodney actually having a pretty decent year. They had oh god, they had a lot of guys. They had the insane performance of who we were just talking about in the Dodgers, whose name who I'm going to sit here and just talk at you, not really making any statements because I can't remember what his fucking name was now that I'm thinking about it. Blake Trinan in his absolute prime, it easily is going to be his best season. This year, they're definitely not as strong in the bullpen department as they have been, but your big breakout guy, Liam Hendricks. Oh man, Liam Hendricks definitely been an up and down career for him. He's a big prospect out of Australia, and his first few bouts in the majors, his first 4 seasons, pretty rough. 6.17, 5.59, 6.85, 5.23 ERA, got high whip. And then 2015, he really put himself together into a pretty decent reliever. He's had average seasons after that. 2019, that was his big breakout year at age 30. His fastball tick up 2 miles per hour in velocity. He struck out 124 batters in 85 innings, which is ridiculous. He had 25 saves only to show for it, but that's because the A's will, despite him being their closer, will have a bit of more of a committee for closer. And he'll also pitch more than one inning a lot. And, 1.80 ERA, like really put it all together. Definitely really, really solid guy to have in your bullpen. And as your closer, 100% you should have confidence in him. Excellent, excellent pitcher. You got Yusmeiro Petit. He had actually a really good season last year. This is another guy who's been around the league quite a bit. Definitely, last year 80 games, 83 innings, 71 strikeouts, 2.71 ERA. Not like Liam Hendricks with throwing hard. Will throw soft and will rely a lot on ground outs, but very, very good guy to have him setting up Liam Hendricks. You got Joakim Soria, who's been kind of had a really rough 2019, but has had some very good seasons. And he consistently stays healthy, so hopefully you'll get another healthy season out of him, throwing pretty decently. But he is older and hasn't had the best time recently in recent memory, so hopefully he can prove that was better than that. Yeah, Daniel Mengden. He got elbow surgery in 2020, but he's expected to come back and he'll probably be back. Had a rough 2019. He's gonna be a big question mark because he's shown some pretty decent stuff, but also some pretty bad stuff, and he's only had a couple seasons. Overall, with the guy coming off a pretty, elbow injuries are always scary for pitchers, even if it's not Tommy John. Definitely need to watch and see how he comes back. The most important thing for him this season is staying healthy. You got Jake Diekman. He's had some pretty good seasons. He had a pretty rough season last 2 seasons, but he's also spent a lot of the seasons on the Royals. So, and he got traded to the A's, and when he was on the A's, he was pretty good. So, I mean, he's still on the A's, but you know what I mean. And so, definitely would expect an improvement in numbers from him because he's pitching in on a much more competitive team in a significantly better to pitch in ballpark. Honestly, not that Kaufman's bad for pitching, but something about being in an atmosphere of a better team, knowing you don't need to. Yeah, I imagine it makes it a lot easier to pitch. Then the rest of your guys in here, for the most part, are guys that you'll see come up and down through the minors and back up. Depending on how they perform. The exception of like TJ McFarland has had a number of years and actually pretty decent numbers for the most part. Some bloated numbers last season, but he's shown stuff. And Lou Trevino, actually, he had a really good time in 2018. 2.92 ERA, throws really hard. He was excellent in the postseason for the one game they got. He came in and shut down the Yankees after Liam Hendricks got beat up, and for a few innings there, he worked a few innings as a reliever. But he definitely took a huge step back in 2019, only going from a 2.92 ERA and high walks, or high strikeouts. His strikeouts dropped while his walks stayed the same, and he had a 5.25 ERA and a 1.53 WHIP. So definitely hoping to see a return to something closer to what he did in 2018. But overall, a lot of solid pieces in this bullpen, and makes it a very good bullpen to have, which is kind of the A's formula: good everywhere, and then obviously your breakouts will carry you. So let's go to the gray. Actually, let's go to our focuses here. Almost. Ron Laureano, as I mentioned, I think he's really going to become a star. I think I don't like to make claims about how baseball's going to go until a guy has had more than a season or two under his belt. But with how much he showed and how he projects to play and how he plays, I think he's got all the makings of a star. Excellent fielding, really, really good bat. He's a lot of fun to watch, and I think he'll be a huge part of the season for you guys, and will be be a really important player. Going next, Chris Davis, you need to see more out of him. Like I said, he's not going to hit anywhere near 300 or 280 even, but just getting back to that 250 area, 240ish area, and hitting and seeing that power increase again will be huge. And seeing those walks increase will be the most important thing for him this season. And so hopefully it turns back for him, and it'll be a huge help to your team if that happens. Going next, Sean Manaea, stay healthy. He had that 2018 breakout. He, no hit the Red Sox. He had a pretty decent couple of starts uh, last year. So big thing for him is staying healthy, and then the other thing for him is not even necessarily throwing as well as he did in 2018, but throwing pretty decently. Just trying to stick around. He hopefully doesn't try to do too much and try to make up for lost time. He's a good pitcher, and he'll be the leader of this rotation. Going next, Liam Hendricks. His real big breakout was last year, and you want to see more of that carry over this year. You have a lot of good arms in the bullpen, a lot of decent arms, but he is by far the best one. And so hopefully, I don't think this was a flash in the pan thing. I think he really established himself, and so hopefully get another, one or two more really powerful seasons from him. I think this season will be a big teller. Okay, moving into grades, lineups. I've been torn between a B plus and an A minus for them. They're very, very good all around, but a lot of them project out kind of the same. There's not a whole lot of diversity in what they do. None of them are hitting decently average, but they all have decent power and they all have decent on base skills for the most part, with the exception of Ramon Laureano, who I expect, but he's also really young and had his first full season of the majors. But and so I'm not really sure how to grade it. Part of me that wants to give him an A minus looks at Marcus Semien, Ramon Laureano, Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, Chris Davis, and I think I'm going to go with that. So I think I'm going to go with the A minus here. Overall, really good. The thing, like, I understand that they what the A's are trying to do, but I would like to see more of a diversification of guys hitting wise. But there's nothing wrong with having 6 guys on your team who can probably hit close to 30 home runs in a season. Moving on to the bullpen. You see, I want to give him a. I'm just debating because once again they have good pieces. The question is, how do they perform? I think I'm going to stick with a B for them on the bullpen. It's good. There's a lot of decent players. A couple standouts in the form of Liam Hendricks and Yusmeiro Petit, but the other guys are young and unproven, which is a theme you see in a lot of bullpens, or they're coming out of injury or have played for teams that aren't so good. And it's what you see in every A's team. There's a lot of guys who are just a big question marks over their head. And I know deep down, because it's the A's, they'll, I think the Rays have got them beat for being better at this than they are now. But still, overall, they'll probably, like, one of these guys will have a huge breakout year because it always happens with the A's. So, yeah, going up to the rotation, got to give it a B minus. Good, they're good. None of them are bad pitchers, I would say, but there's nothing. Actually, for that, I'll give them a B. I'll change it up. But the problem is, none of that. Like, you don't have that real surefire ace. And I don't mean an ace has to throw 95. I don't give a shit that Mike Fiers and Sean Manaea can barely hit 90. But you need some guy. There are plenty of aces out there, great pitchers out there who don't hit high, velocity. You need something there. And the reason why I'm saying this, because, like, I feel like I can, when I give my ace examples, I gave 3 guys who throw ridiculously hard. But I just mean, like, you need that one guy who can really go up there and shell out, 6, 7 innings consistently. And so that's my whole deal there. Um, but yeah, but overall, it's a good rotation, and they have a good bullpen to back it up. So overall, the A's are a good team. I expect, and looking back, think they actually talking my thoughts out loud. I think they'll be a bigger threat for the Astros, and the Astros think they are. I think they're easily probably the biggest wild card contender out of the AL. And like I said, shorter season, shorter format. If they catch on fire in the beginning of the season, I expect they could win the AL West. So yeah, that's it from me. So yeah, thank you for watching. Go ahead, leave a comment, subscribe. If you're a Oakland A's fan who thinks, I don't even know, I didn't really say anything really that bad about your team, who thinks that, Moneyball is going to work after, despite the fact that the Rays are doing a better job of it. I mean, it will work. It should work. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I'm trying to think of some hypothetical that a A's fan would, blast me away for, but I can't think of it. I don't think I said anything that inflammatory about their team. But if you agree, disagree, drop a comment below. Or if you're an Astros fan that thinks that the A's have no shot, go ahead and flame me in the comments. We'll see where we're at come August. So that being said, like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Go check out our social media. Go check out our Discord.
There you go.
Yep. And where are we going tomorrow?
So tomorrow, I go to the Dolphins, and you follow me up on Friday with the Marlins.
Excellent.
But I think that will be it for us. So
Yeah, I think that's it.
like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff like he just said. And we will see you next time. Peace.